Revenue is a metric. Effort is not. Most founders track activity. They measure meetings, outbound volume, marketing campaigns launched, hours worked. But none of those pay payroll. Revenue matters. Collected cash matters more. You can work harder than ever and still destabilize the business. Because effort is not convertible currency. Only liquidity is. And liquidity moves on timing, not intention. This matters most for founders and operators who are scaling. Agency owners, service businesses, growth stage companies. When revenue begins to climb, discipline often declines. Growth feels like validation. More sales feel like security. But cash flow discipline is more important than growth strategy. Because growth amplifies financial timing mistakes. By the end of this video, you'll understand why revenue without sequencing creates instability and how to structure your business to prevent it. The common belief is simple. We just need more sales. It feels logical. Revenue solves problems. Revenue funds growth. Revenue validates demand. So when pressure increases, the instinct is to sell harder. But revenue and collected cash are not the same event. Revenue is recognition. Cash is conversion. You can sign a $100,000 contract. You can celebrate the win. You can even book it in your system. But if payment terms are 30, 45, or 60 days, liquidity hasn't moved yet. Commitments move immediately. Liquidity moves later. That gap is where instability begins. Now consider how pressure compounds. Revenue increases. You hire. You expand marketing. You add software tools. You commit to office space. You increase payroll. None of those wait for collections. They are fixed commitments. Then subtle tension appears. You start monitoring receivables daily. You delay vendor payments by a few days. You hesitate before approving expenses. Payroll begins to feel heavier than it should. Revenue hasn't collapsed. Liquidity feels unstable because timing shifted. And once timing shifts, pressure multiplies faster than growth. There are 3 core cash flow risks founders consistently misinterpret. First, revenue is not liquidity. Revenue is performance reporting. Liquidity is operational oxygen. If you measure growth using revenue alone, you're blind to collection velocity. Second, fixed cost sensitivity. Every new fixed cost reduces flexibility. Payroll, software subscriptions, retainers, leases. They don't scale down easily. As fixed costs increase, your margin for timing errors shrinks. Third, decision timing exposure. When commitments are made before cash converts, you introduce exposure. One delayed client payment can create cascading effects. This isn't a sales issue. It's sequencing discipline. Let's model this clearly. Assume a business generates $200,000 in monthly revenue. Payment terms: net 30. Average collection actually occurs at 45 days. Fixed monthly commitments: payroll, $110,000. Marketing, $20,000. Software and overhead, $25,000. Total fixed costs, $155,000 per month. Now the business signs an additional $50,000 in new contracts. Leadership hires 2 employees immediately, increasing payroll by $25,000 per month. New fixed cost total, $180,000. Revenue looks like $250,000 per month. But collections still lag 45 days. One major client delays payment by 15 days. Suddenly, expected cash inflow drops short for that month by $60,000. Payroll remains due. Marketing invoices remain due. Revenue didn't disappear. Liquidity tightened because commitments were sequenced before conversion. This is how stable businesses feel unstable, without any collapse in demand. Cash flow control requires structure. Principle 1. Separate revenue from cash metrics. Track revenue, but track collections separately. Know your average days to cash. Know your receivable concentration risk. Revenue without collection speed is incomplete information. Principle 2. Sequence commitments after cash conversion. Delay fixed commitments until conversion patterns stabilize. Higher after collection velocity improves. Expand marketing after cash reserves strengthen, not after contracts are signed. Principle 3. Stress test fixed cost expansion. Before adding recurring cost, model worst-case timing delays. Ask, what happens if 2 major payments arrive 30 days late? If the answer is anxiety, the structure is fragile. Growth should increase resilience, not reduce it. Now extend this one layer deeper. Liquidity is not just survival capital, it is strategic leverage. When cash flow is controlled, you negotiate differently. You can pay vendors early for discounts. You can invest when competitors hesitate. You can absorb volatility without emotional decision-making. But when liquidity is tight, you become reactive. You approve work you shouldn't. You accept client terms that hurt you. You overextend simply to keep momentum alive. That is how good businesses drift into fragile positions. Not through collapse, through gradual erosion of sequencing discipline. There is one final distinction founders must internalize. Revenue measures performance. Liquidity measures endurance. Performance can fluctuate. Endurance determines survival. A business with strong liquidity can survive weak quarters. A business with weak liquidity can collapse during strong ones, because instability rarely announces itself through falling sales. It appears through tightening cash windows, shorter decision timelines, less room for error, less tolerance for delay. When that compression begins, growth feels stressful instead of strategic. That is the signal that sequencing is misaligned. If sequencing stays misaligned long-term, fragility compounds. You begin relying on credit to bridge timing gaps. Decisions become reactive. Founders operate under quiet financial stress. Strategic opportunities get missed because liquidity is spoken for before it arrives. Optionality disappears. Control narrows, revenue fuels growth. Liquidity protects survival. Effort can increase revenue. Only discipline protects liquidity. If you value structured breakdowns like this, focused on financial control and operational stability, subscribe for more strategic insights.